imagine waking up one morning, you're getting ready for work, and all of a sudden you just smell something burning. So you run to your kitchen, and you see that your coffee maker is just up in flames. Your heart's racing, you put it out, you're sort of freaking out, you're trying to compose yourself, and suddenly there's this voice that comes on in your kitchen, and it says, "Good morning, Jamie. Based on your coffee preferences, I have found the best deal for you in a Keurig 23R. It's $139. If you would like me to have this ordered and shipped by tomorrow, please confirm by saying yes." Who here would like that? Woo! And who here would be terrified by something like that? Yeah, yeah, that's normal. But this is where search is going. And Google has not been shy about saying that they want to start providing us answers before we even ask the questions, right? This is crazy. This is where things are headed. However, there is still a huge ways to go. So I want to make this speech super interactive. I've got tons of these things for you guys. I want you to guess the percentage of people that go to Google, enter in a search, see the results, don't click anything. Am I making that noise? Don't click anything and revise their search. Any guesses? Ooh, whoa, those are high. Closer, 23, 25 is closer. 15, I think you just get all of these. It's 18% of people still do that. It's crazy. Yeah, so there's still a super long way to go before we get to that voice search, but this is where things are headed, and there are more opportunities now than ever before for each person in this room to do digital marketing and to do it well. We have more data available at our fingertips than ever before. So I'm super excited to talk to you guys today about all of that. So this is sort of how we're gonna go through it. I'm gonna talk about where search is today, where it's headed, how to work smarter and not harder, and then how to really execute those things. So where is search today? SERP features are taking over. Anytime I say SERP, I just mean search engine result page. But these things are completely taking over. You've all seen them, right? They're those answer boxes at the top of search. So this is considered a featured snippet, and these are considered people also ask boxes. They're everywhere. And they're on the rise. So for those of you that haven't been paying attention to these, you really, really should. This is the percentage of those features in search result pages over the last couple months. It's incredible. And one of the coolest parts is GetStat Analytics did a recent study on these people also ask boxes. So if you haven't seen them, they're what I showed here before at the bottom, and you click on the question and the answer sort of cascades down. And what's amazing about these is that they can be found, one of these question and answers can be found on over 21 search engine result pages for topically related searches. That's incredible. So you can cover major real estate with these results if you can start to kind of play the field and try to capture some of these for your site. So where are we today? 5 major SEO factors that are still super prevalent. Links. I think many of you in this room are well aware that links are still working really, really well. It's interesting because it's almost like real life. So if you were to go somewhere on vacation and let's say you're talking with your cab driver and maybe the person at the front desk and someone you run into on the street and you ask them, where's the best place to go for coffee? And they all say the same place, you're gonna start to believe that, that's probably the best place to grab coffee around here. It's the same thing online. These links act as third-party credibility factors. So the more credible and natural links you have to your site, the better off you are to rank for all sorts of things. 2 tools to kind of look at these backlinks are Ahrefs and Moz Open Site Explorer. So it's interesting to not only look at your backlinks, but to look at the backlinks of your competitors and see what links they have that you don't currently have. That's where it gets fun. Quality content. So this is sort of where the magic happens. So if you can create quality content, like my friends here at Sierra Interactive did, they realized that so many people were searching, how does this company make money? What's going on here? And they created this really cool interactive graphic to show how these companies make money, and they added a really cool filter at the top. So if you want to see like who makes money off of ads, who makes money off of this, you can just filter it, and it's really cool. The best part is they didn't do any outreach, and the last time I checked, they had over 6,500 links to them from big sources like Wired. Really cool. On-page optimization is still alive and well. However, the biggest part of this is making sure that your stuff is indexable or indexed. So what does that mean? You want to make sure that your stuff is findable in search, otherwise the rest of your effort is going to go useless, basically. So how do you figure that out? You just type in site : your page URL, or maybe your domain URL, and you should see it show up. And if you don't see it show up, maybe come chat with me after, or we can try to figure that out. But there's a bunch of reasons why you might not see it. Could accidentally be meta no index, stuff like that. But you should see something like this. Quality content, like we just talked about, is still huge, especially fulfilling that user intent. Page title and meta description. So that was sort of what we just talked about with that result here. So you want to craft unique titles and unique meta descriptions to increase click-through rates on those search result pages. So how do you craft it better than the other guy, right? How do you make something enticing and that people might want to click on and check out? The page URL is still really important. Is it descriptive? Are you describing what the page is like, not only for search engine robots that are crawling your site, but just for people that might get sent that link, right? Alt text. I feel like this isn't talked about enough. So alt text was originally created for the visually impaired, specifically for readers. So what happens with readers is it describes what an image actually is. And so that should come first and foremost to you. You should be describing what these images are in case someone visually impaired is looking at your content. And it also helps serve up information to search engines. HTML markup. These header tags are still really important, and you see them playing a role in those featured snippets, which is pretty cool. Schema is still huge. Schema allows you to basically spoon-feed search engines what your website is about. So you can say whether you have a recipe on the page, whether it's about a business, whatever it might be, you can get really specific and detailed. Engagement metrics are huge. So this is something I'm a little weird talking about just because Google has never come forward and confirmed that this is a ranking factor. But we do have reason to believe that it very likely is. And it should be, right? If someone is clicking on your page and they don't see what they're looking for, and they go back to search and click on something else, it's considered a pogo stick. And that's not what you want. It's a bad signal to Google. So you want to have people on your site. You want to convert them. You want them to hang out. You want to fulfill their user intent. Speed is huge. I think this is going to be one of those ones that becomes increasingly more important this year. So 53% of people are going to abandon a page if it takes more than 3 seconds to load. That is crazy. Super fast. Something definitely to think about, and there's all sorts of ways you can assist your website and your web pages. Specifically, the two big ones are oversized images and JavaScript that is causing your site to slow down. So, and I actually have some information in bonus slides at the end of this talk if you want to address those two options. So where is this headed? What's the future of search? So number one, featured snippets are going to continue to increase and become way more interactive. This is something I believe totally to be true, specifically around these people also ask boxes. So in November, I started seeing these people also ask boxes that just kept expanding. And I coined them black holes. And I was one of the first ones to see them because I'm a freak and I have nothing better to do. And I thought they were so cool. And so I would keep these things going into the hundreds of questions. And I kept seeing them on different devices, on different browsers. And what was funny is everyone else in the industry was saying, oh, it's a bug. Like Britney came across a bug, whatever. But very quietly, a Google engineer in February said, oh, hey, if you're in the US and you're exploring topics, there's a nifty feature for you to try. And he had a GIF of this expanding PAAs. So we have to remember, Google makes money from ads. They want to keep you on Google. And they can do that by providing you with these really interactive experiences. So they're gonna keep doing that. They want to sort of capture you here. And it's pretty incredible to see where they're going with that. Voice will continue to improve and become more accessible. And the most amazing thing about voice to me is that it's pulling from featured snippets. So just another reason to be aware and start thinking about stuff like this. So if you Google how many people have walked the moon, you're gonna get this featured snippet box. And then if you ask, hey Google, how many people have walked the moon? It's gonna say 12, according to Wikipedia, right? It'll do the first part, reference, which it doesn't always do, which is very interesting, and then it just cites that first sentence. But it has yet to figure out two major things. Can anyone guess what those two things are for voice? You guys got it. What are the two things that voice has to figure out?
Australian accents.
Ooh, I think you should just take all of these. Australian accents, that's actually really good. They do have to figure that out. Monetization and follow-up questions, right? That's how we consider it natural language processing. That's how we naturally speak. And so Google should be getting better at that stuff. And I imagine they'll figure out a way to monetize it as well, which will be really interesting. SEO apps. Every time I do this part of any speech, I can just feel people like squirming. Don't worry, apps will be replaced with something way better. Way better. And let me explain why I think apps are so horrible. Bear with me. They're horrible. Every step you make a user take costs you 20% of those users. It's ridiculous. Let's say you attract 1,000 potential users. By the time you get them to actually use your app, you're down to 262. That is not a great user experience. Neither is updating the app and making push notifications to update the app for other people. There has to be a better way, and there is. It also, this is why it costs so much more to acquire app users. It sucks. It's insane. It's way cheaper to acquire web users. And so we have to figure this out. And people have, and it's called PWAs, Progressive Web Apps. Has anyone at this conference talked about PWAs yet? Okay, cool. So PWAs, Progressive Web Apps, it's basically an in-browser-like app experience. So it is within a browser, but it looks and feels like an app. And they're amazing. They use these beautiful pieces of technology called service workers to render content and graphics and all sorts of stuff between the server and the DOM. So entire PWAs can load within 0.26 seconds, meaning I would go to this Washington Post site before I would get on a flight from Denver to Seattle, and I would be able to browse the entire site in airplane mode, which was so fascinating to me. Blew my mind. There's also tons of other features. So it's connected with Firebase for custom push notifications. So Firebase is one of the largest databases of demographic information. You can target females 25 to 35 in the Vancouver area for something specifically with a PWA. You can also have bookmarkability, so it's still gonna look and feel like an app. You're still gonna have that icon on your mobile device. It's always fresh. If you need an update, you just make it, right? Your developers will do a pull request into the actual website. It's not a huge ordeal where you're pushing updates. It's universal. Screw like Android store, Apple store, all that stuff, different countries, doesn't matter. All you need is an internet connection, which is so cool. And it's linkable, so if you're doing email campaigns or you're writing articles on your website, you can link directly to this stuff. And better yet, it's all discoverable. So currently, you can only find an app, boom, right here, like one specific app has one opportunity in search. With PWAs, you have all of these pages that have the ability to rank within search. Really powerful stuff. All right, so how do we work smarter and not harder with these things? This is the best. This is some of my favorite stuff. So we want to flip the acquisition funnel on its head. Why would you not do that? Right? Ever since I got into digital marketing, I remember getting into trouble really early on with certain brands because I wanted to do this. I wanted to target the people that were ready to purchase first because it just made sense to me. And the ways that you can do this are so fascinating and are available in every industry. So an example is, so a company I founded a couple years ago had an MRI client come to us, and they were rebuilding a new website, and they wanted us to do keyword research, which was great because, like my friend Rich Stats always says, you wouldn't build a house without a foundation. Why would you build a website without information architecture? And all that that means is, why would you build a website without knowing how people are searching for your products or services? Why would you build it without knowing what things they want to see first? So with this in mind, we were doing all this keyword research, and we came across something super interesting, and it was open versus closed MRIs. Hundreds of people a month were searching for this, and no one was giving them answers, no one. There was no photos, there was no content, and so I persuaded the client to let us put this together. We did, and to this day, this was probably 4 years ago, to this day, that page sees double the traffic of their homepage and does incredible things for their conversions. This is working smarter and not harder. This took a couple hours for us, you know, and it's just snowballed over time. I think it's given them over 60,000 unique visits. But the coolest part is, like, we weren't the geniuses that thought of this at all. We just listened to the data, and that's something that all of you can do and probably do better, right? So some other really quick examples, elective surgery. People only search for 2 things before they book a consultation. Can anyone guess what they are? Cost, price, and close? Nope, they already have that narrowed down. That's Nervous Nancy, that's good though. No? What did you say? Pictures, yeah. Price and pictures, that's it. That's all they want to see. We optimized for those 2 things, and it was so cool to see consultations sort of go through the roof. Yeah, good job. Another one, I was just doing research for personal injury. Who said price? Nice, my friend. You guys are the best. And I thought there has to be something for personal injury. It's such a competitive space, but there has to be some hack into this space. And my team members and I were chatting like late one night, and we thought, I wonder if people are searching what to do in an accident. Right? Like, that's a very real thing. I know I would probably do that because I would be flustered, I wouldn't know what to do. So we started hacking at it from that angle, and sure enough, there's tons of people, and it's got like typos, and it sort of just like breaks your heart that these people are in distress and they want to know what to do in an accident. Why would A, just like help people? That's awesome, and you've got to feel great about that, but then they might remember you if they need you down the road. So hacks like this can go a really long way. And it's all behind the keyword data, which you can get from 2 primary places, Moz Keyword Explorer and Google Keyword Planner. Google Keyword Planner is like the free version that I've used for years, and I actually wrote a very unbiased article where I beat Moz up on the Moz blog about this, so feel free to check out that link if you're curious which is right for you. All right, so ways to discover opportunity gaps. Google suggests, just go to Google, type in your product or your service, and don't hit anything, and just see what comes up. And then I like to add an A and a B, go through the alphabet, and just see what comes up. This is trending, these are most popular searches, and it can help a lot with your keyword research. Google Trends is a really cool one. So this is sort of funny. I wanted to see how many people in the United States were searching how to move to Canada. And so I did this, and I don't know what happened during that time, but super interesting, right? So that will show you like seasonal trends and what's going on. Moz Keyword Explorer is cool too for finding other like relevant searches. So you can go to keyword suggestions and look through the first like couple, maybe 100 relevant searches. But what I like to do is use these filters for our questions and sort by low lexical similarity. This buckets questions that people are asking and provides you with sort of the top FAQs that you can incorporate to your site. And this can do incredible things for your traffic. Google Keyword Planner is so great for hyper-local targeting. So through this like weird tangent I was on with how to move to Canada, I thought, well, I wonder how many people in Vancouver want to move to the United States. Like maybe we could just do a swap, right? So I entered in how to move to the United States, and I'm targeting Vancouver and areas around Vancouver. Not many of you want to move to the United States. Like, damn it. But it's super interesting because it does give you hyper targeted regional stuff. But it is good to be mindful of them changing your keyword and giving you huge buckets of search volume, which can be super annoying, but it's a great free version. I highly suggest it. Competitors' top pages. So SimilarWeb will provide you with your competitors' top pages, which I think is super fascinating in the retail space or any sort of design space to see what's trending. This I just put in Remax to see like what areas were super hip right now. And it's interesting because on desktop it's Toronto, first-time buyers, and Calgary. But on mobile, I see Brampton. Where's Brampton? Is that like a hipper place? No. It's so funny, when I was doing this, I was like, oh, maybe it's like a younger, up-and-coming place with the mobile users. I know nothing. Nothing. Oh my God. All right. How do we discover these opportunities? So first is just to know your industry SERP features, like what's going on with those search engine result pages. And you can do this with Moz Keyword Explorer. We have saved lists, which is really cool, and you can see how many of those words have featured snippets in their search results, and how many of those have related questions, which are those PAAs. So, SEMrush does the same sort of thing, where they'll track this stuff for you, but they haven't started tracking the people also ask boxes. I imagine they will very shortly, though. So they're another awesome option for stuff like this. Just be aware that this is still super new to these tools, and you will probably get results that aren't accurate. So in this instance, SEO and SEM doesn't provide a featured snippet. These things are fluctuating so much, so just be aware of that. You want to optimize for intent. So this, I wanted to give you like a little behind the scenes thing of like, well, how do you do this, right? Like how is this working? This is literally how I'm doing it right now for, and this is so stupid, but how to choose a domain name. For whatever reason, it's a total vanity metric, but I really want to steal it for Moz, because I think it would be fun. But currently GoDaddy has it with this result. And so the first thing I do when trying to steal for something like this is I go to this page, and I check it out, and then within Chrome, I'm able to right-click one of the lists that is in that search result page. So I want to see what it's marked up with. Immediately, I can see it's marked up with an H2. So this is just a mental note to myself. And then I want to check out how is the image marked up. Does it have alt text around that keyword? Like how are they optimizing for it? Which they're not really, but it is hosted on GoDaddy.com. And then I use Mozbar, which is a free add-on tool that's just pretty helpful with looking at stuff like this. And I can see it loads in just over 2 seconds, which is really good. And then I can check out link metrics. So while I'm doing all this research, I'm just making little mental notes. And then I'm looking at the page that I'm trying to get to rank for this SERP feature. And I'm looking at how we are marking up this list. And currently we're marking it up with H3s, right? And the other one was H2. So that's like a little, okay, good note to self. And then I'm looking at the image, which unfortunately we don't have hosted on Moz.com. We've got a really weird setup developmentally, and so that's something I'm thinking about. And then I'm looking at how much slower our page loads, right? That user experience. And then link metrics, which are somewhat comparable. And then I compare a bunch of different other things. So I noticed that our words on page are way longer than GoDaddy's. We know speed is of the essence. You want to provide people with easy to consume content that's kind of condensed and easy to, consume and understand. So I start to look at all of these metrics, and in my head, I look at these ones because this is what I can immediately control. And so I've already actually changed this list markup to see if it makes a difference. And it hasn't yet. So I want to condense the words on the page and then change the photo optimization. But what's interesting is as I've been doing this, I did get it to rank for a little bit. I did get to steal that spot. And I accidentally added a typo to the meta description, and I lost it. And notoriously in the SEO industry, meta descriptions aren't supposed to influence ranking. They influence click-through rates, which kind of circumnavigate that engagement metric and can help you rank. So that was super interesting, and then we lost the spot. So trying to focus on these 3 things and see if we can't win that back. So this is what we went over. Word search today. Featured snippets are completely taking over. It's good to be aware of them. The 5 big ranking factors that everyone should kind of be keeping an eye on and continuing your efforts with, mainly with that quality content, right, to build those links naturally. The future of search, featured snippets, voice, and PWAs. How to work smarter and not harder. I hope I gave you a couple examples that might kind of get you excited to see what might be available for you. And it's really around those opportunity gaps in keyword research. Discover and execute your opportunities, so know your industry SERP features, and you can do that manually too, right? Research what's currently working and compare it to the page on your site that you're trying to get to rank. And that's all I have for you. I got a bunch of bonus slides for you guys if you want to look at them later, but I think that's a wrap. So thank you so much.